Well, welcome to Talking Wanderers. I'm Gordon Sharrock, and with me today is Mark Isles, and we'll be discussing the recent events at the Reebok and the way that things seem to be looking up for the Wanderers. Well, Mark, 3 wins on the spin. Owen Coyle, Manager of the Month, out of the bottom 3. Does it get any better than that?
Not when you consider what everything's been set against. I mean, when we got beat by Manchester City at the start of March, you looked ahead and thought, well, there are games coming up that Bolton should win. But if you'd have factored in, what happened at White Hart Lane and all the emotions that ran through after that, it's nothing short of phenomenal, really, that we managed to dig results out, keep our noses ahead of the bottom 3 now, and things are looking quite bright for the future.
Well, obviously we are getting a little bit giddy about this because there's still an awful lot of work to be done, and a pretty testing Easter coming up, albeit kicking off with a home game against Fulham. Coyle's right to be preaching a bit of caution, but he must be very, very optimistic of getting the points he needs.
Well, that's it. I mean, the one thing that hasn't really gone for Bolton is the fact that everybody else has been winning as well. I mean, Liverpool have done us no favours, Arsenal have done us no favours, and you probably expect another couple of twists and turns along the way. All they can really do is keep ploughing out results, and Fulham at home, is usually a decent tie for Bolton. I mean, there's been a lot of draws down the years, but you'd fancy at the minute Fulham don't really know whether they're looking up or down. I don't think they've got a great deal to play for now, so that's really a good game. But I think they need at least 3 points out of this Easter weekend, because Newcastle are playing very well on Easter Monday. You kind of suggest that's going to be a difficult one to get anything from at all. But if they can get 3 points, just keep the noses ahead of that bottom 3, things are going well.
And things in the squad seem to be going well as well. I mean, we've seen Kevin Davies coming back into the picture and scoring goals, which is terrific.
Well, that's it. I mean, people are very quick to write him off. I think people look at ages and maybe looked into a couple of his performances towards the start of the year. Sometimes we don't know the whole story, and the fact is he did get an injury against Wigan. How long that injury had played on his mind, or how it had affected him in the months prior to that, we don't really know. But I think that the fact is he's looking fit and fresh now, and hopefully that'll be a potent weapon going into the final 8 games of the season, because there's no doubt about it, to have that kind of weapon to come off the bench or to start games however you want to play him. Kevin Davies at his best is still a very, very potent weapon.
And interestingly, we've seen obviously the wide players, Ria Miyachi and Martin Petrov have been instrumental in a lot of the impressive work that Bolton have done in the last few games. But Owen Coyle giving Miyachi a bit of a rest this week, or talking about giving him a bit of a rest, not necessarily from games, but looking after him in training, not wanting to.
I think he's got to
get too much out.
I think he's got to. I think he gave Martin Petrov a little bit of a rest in the FA Cup game at Spurs. I think with his wingers, he is very, very aware of how important they have been. Martin Petrov, this is the best run of form he's had in a Bolton shirt since he's been at the club, and Rio Miyachi, he's been such a breath of fresh air, really. Surprise package. We didn't expect him to play this much football, really, and I think that's a little bit of it as well. He's 19 years old. He hasn't played at this level this many consecutive games. I think this weekend will be his 8th. So he has got to be that little bit careful. Whether or not, as you say, he's willing to rest him in games, because he has been so important, is a different matter. But I'm sure he hasn't been calling him in for extra sessions or playing him in the behind closed doors friendlies. Put it that way.
I mean, people will say, it's only a game of football, and why should a 19-year-old be getting tired? But it's Premiership football. It's a tough ask. It's a big strain on a young lad. A young lad's shoulders like that.
Well, the other thing is, on top of all that, I mean, eight consecutive games takes its own physical strain, but he was there on the, White Hart Lane. He's 19.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All that is going to take its strain as well, and much more experienced players have said, listen, I was struggling to deal with it, and they've been taken out the fray. So for a young lad to carry on the way he has and produce the kind of performances he has is really brilliant. And it wouldn't surprise me to see him have a couple of days off, maybe only play half of one of the games, maybe the Easter Monday one. He's got Greg Wild, hopefully, available for at least one of those games. I know they're working hard on getting the red tape cleared now for him to play, so that's an option. Chris Eagles and Marvin Sordell as well, who can play out there. So the good thing is for Owen Cole at the minute, he's got a couple of options, and players are playing themselves into form.
Well, he'll need those options because Easter, it's 2 games in the space of 3 days, and it's that's demanding on any squad. So he's going to need those options.
It is when you consider the sort of the high tempo stuff that Bolton play. I mean, it's not like Barcelona where you're making the ball do the work and your opponents are the ones tiring themselves out. I mean, Bolton have been playing fast tempo battles the last few weeks against the teams in and around them in the table, and I can only see it being the same against Fulham. So I think he will probably make a couple of changes and use his squad to its full.
Well, Easter's obviously in the past been very decisive in terms of promotion, relegation, big issues being decided. Let's hope that this weekend Bolton can take another step towards that survival.
Should certainly have a clearer picture, I know that.
Thanks for watching. Catch us again next week when we'll be hopefully reflecting on a couple of decent results for the Wanderers over Easter.